Hi everyone, welcome to this week's Karma Cards. So we just had the new moon in Cancer, and it was a really cool new moon because it had a quadruple 7 code attached to it. And for those of you who don't know numerology, the number 7 is a highly spiritual number, and it is connected to the moon, and it is connected to Cancer as well. And it's such a cool coincidence to have this come in. So there's this heightened spiritual energy, a type of portal of energy that opened with the new moon in Cancer. And specifically, the message that was coming through about it is the power of our words, that our words act as a type of container for what we are creating. And my team showed me this. They're like, look at the image of the crab associated with speech. Why is it associated with speech? It's because the creative force would be like the gelatinous insides of the crab, right? Like the creative force can go anywhere. The words we speak create a type of enclosure that help create something that you're experiencing. In this case, you're experiencing the shell of the crab. So you get to experience a crab rather than a blob of jelly on the beach, right? Now, you've probably heard that the meaning of the word abracadabra means something roughly translated into I create what I speak. So when we use our words, and especially when we use them consciously, we actually create a containment field for our creative life force energy. We are putting it into something now, and now it has a type of structure. And there's literal energy with this. So how is it doing this? How is it creating a container? Sound is vibration, and that vibration is what's creating the containment field for your life force energy. You're saying, I want to create more wealth in my life, as an example. Now you've created a container. Or I have a successful career. There's the words that put that life force energy into a type of containment field. And the words we speak have a direct magic on us. So what we say to ourselves, and especially about ourselves, becomes our natural filtering system. So this is connected to the reticular activating system right there at the back of the head, just right above your brainstem. In that spot is the reticular activating system, and this acts as a type of filter for information. And we need this because there's actually so much information in our environment that if we didn't have this filtering system, not only would we be observant of everything happening in the space around us at once, every person talking, every bird flying by the window, everything that's happening in the space, you would also be able to see interdimensionally, which I kind of think is cool, but I can understand why would we would be given a type of filtration system, because those who have a weak filtration system or even none, they tend to be the ones who experience sort of like a psychotic break because there's just too much information coming at us. So we should love our reticular activating system because it allows us to focus. It allows us to stay focused in this moment and what we are focused on, and allows us to move forward on what feels like a linear piece of time, even though we know that time is actually more spiral and it's all happening at once in the quantum field. But the reticular activating system allows us to be in what feels like linear time, moving in a progression. And that's the great thing about it. The kind of not so great thing about our filtering system is that it is programmed. Now, the good news is we can reprogram it, we can change it, but whatever we currently believe, and specifically whatever we're speaking about and how we speak about it, adjusts this filtering system. So if we were to focus on no one likes me, let's just say we were to focus on that as a thought, well then what that reticular activating system will bring back to you is evidence matching the words, the thoughts you're thinking and the words you're speaking. So if that's the word, if those are the thoughts and words coming into your mind and out of your mouth, then what you're going to pull back through your filter is all evidence that matches that. And the sad part is that anyone who is showing friendship or kindness, you kind of get blank slated from that happening, because again, we've got a filter set that's based on our thoughts and our words. So the beautiful thing is that we can reset the filter. We can expand our filter. We can add it. We can change the concepts that we're holding about ourselves, and through that, the words that we speak. And remember, the words we're speaking are presenting a sound vibration which creates a type of containment field. So if your containment field that you're speaking into existence is that I'd like to be wealthy, but I'm not wealthy yet, well, then you've just created a containment field where that will be the experience. So you can see that if you expand that to I feel wealthy or I desire wealth, as an example, you've just opened up the containment field of creation. And now you're priming your RAS, your reticular activating system, to now find evidence outside of you that is going to reflect back to you that yes, you're creating more wealth. You'll start to see it in the ways that you might not have noticed it before when you had created a tighter or a less abundant parameter. Now, how this relates to the number 7, the number 7 is the most spiritual number of the physical plane. So there is an element to the number 7 that is spiritual, that's that top line coming in, and physical, right? That's that bottom line coming in. So it's the most spiritual of the physical numbers. And it's often referred to as the temple number. And if you think about it, a temple is a containment system for spiritual energy, which is exactly what your words do. They are a containment system for that spiritual life force energy. The body is a containment system for spiritual and life force energy. So why are we on this plane with a physical body? Why do we need words? On this plane, on the third density level of experience, we need these things to create containment for our physical experience, to create containment for our spiritual energy so that we then may know how we are appearing as separate and having a separate experience. Because in reality, we know we're not separate and we're not really even having a separate experience. So these mechanisms allow for us to really see what we are creating for ourselves and allow us to engage with it and adjust it based on what we are observing about ourselves. So the reason I bring it up at this time is because we are in a window of manifestation. Whenever we have a new moon, that is a signifier that this is a new period of manifesting energy. And for the next 2 weeks, all the way till the full moon, which is happening around July 13th, we will have an increasing magnetic energy towards what we're attracting. And the universe wants us to know that we should pay particular attention to the words that we're speaking. And this one is both, it's helpful, it's easy to do once you understand it, and it's tricky at the same time because it requires us to be consciously aware of what we're thinking to ourselves and what we're saying about ourselves. So let's talk about some steps we can do to achieve that. Number 1 is you need to have a North Star to identify to. In order to help you create what you desire, you have to know where you're going, what direction you're heading in. Number 2, you need to start speaking future-oriented. So you need to think, let's take the example of wealth again. And if you want to experience a wealthier life, then you need to start talking about yourself as if you are experiencing that. Now, this is where a lot of us get stuck because we feel really inauthentic or like an imposter when we know what we want, but then we try to speak it in the present. Why is that? Because there is vibrational disharmony. There's where you want to be and where you perceive yourself to be. And while you speak about where you're going as if it's happening. You're feeling that space in between these two of where I'm going and where I am. And that creates a sensation of emotional disharmony. And so it tends to make us want to autocorrect our speaking. So for example, if you're wanting to feel wealthy and you say, I'm a wealthy person, and you don't believe that yet because you feel that harmonic dissonance between where you feel like you're at and where you're trying to go, you might end up saying something like, I'm a wealthy person. Well, actually, I'm not yet, but that's what I'm working on. And that's where the trap is, because we're just trying to move through that awkward feeling of being an imposter. We're trying to move through that awkward feeling of I'm not actually in vibrational alignment yet. And when we feel that energy, it comes up as a very strong emotion. It can come up as shame, it can come up as guilt, it can come up as embarrassment. And when that comes up, we have sort of a knee-jerk reaction to create safety by auto-correcting ourselves. Like, I'm working on being, I'm actually not yet. It's a thing I say to myself, and you hear that I'm actually generating a lot of, like, I'm almost creating a labyrinth from my containment field rather than a pure containment field. If I said something like, I'm working on generating wealth, that would be clearer. But by saying, I'm a wealthy person while I'm working on being a wealthy, well, I'm actually not wealthy yet. I mean, it's been hard, You can see what I'm doing there. I'm warping that containment field. I'm really actually condensing that energy into sort of an odd shape. It can't fully expand, and it's getting multiple messages. The messages are basically one of, I feel unworthy of saying this, so that's getting fed in, and I feel embarrassed to share that, so that's getting fed in. And this is where we sort of warp our own creation, is that being in the awkward space causes us to be awkward with our creations. So number 3 is just really this acknowledgement that there is a temporary period where your RAS is adjusting its filter, where you know you're not where you want to be, you're over here, and there is a frequency mismatch, but you're trying to speak the words, and the speaking of the words is actually what helps to bring that alignment. So part of this is simply understanding that part of your manifesting process, your creative process, is the awkward transitional stage. Now that's something I'm going to speak more about in future videos, but for now, as long as we can understand that there's an awkward transition from where we currently are at, our current set point, and our future set point, then we can relax and realize all we need to do is use the words in a conscious way, in a way that's, it's not a lie, it's not manipulation, it's not trying to pull one over on others, it's intentional and how you're creating it. It's like visualization, but with your words. And if we're clear on that, we can kind of move through that awkward transitional phase a little smoother. And also just the knowledge that that's going to be there. I often find if we just know of where the pitfalls are, if we understand that not every part of this process is easy or even comfortable, then it's like a type of preparation that allows us to go in with courage to the next step of our manifesting journey. And so that is the focus for this week, is just to help you understand how important the words you speak to yourself as well as to others are when you're intending to create something new in your life. Now let's do some karma cards. All right, if you're new to karma cards, let me quickly show you how these work. I have 3 decks here: planets, signs of the zodiac, and the houses of astrology. And I've already asked my team, what is the message you have for us this week? And I've got 2 sets of answers. One in red, which are action-related answers, and a set in blue, which are outcome-related answers. And the way that you play is you just tune in with your beautiful intuition and feel, what do I need this week? Am I looking for action-related guidance, or am I actually looking to see how things resolve? And of course, you can always choose both. And while you're deciding, let me tell you the timing for this reading. This reading is for June 30th through July, wait for it, 7th. And the flavor of this reading. All right, so we have the moon, which is really funny because that's connected to that number 7 and Cancer, and we just had a new moon. So the moon in Sagittarius, which is talking about our expanded mind, our higher self, expanded thinking. So interesting, right? In the 12th house. Now there's your reticular activating system right there. So the 12th house is the house that represents secrets, what's hidden, and the subconscious mind. So that reticular activating system is directly connected to what your subconscious mind will allow you to see, right? So it's there. All information, every point is always collected by the subconscious mind. Things you don't even register consciously are being collected by your subconscious mind. That interdimensional cool stuff I was talking about earlier, it's in there. You caught it, just not consciously. And the subconscious mind will only release that information if it is a match to your current belief system and the way you're speaking, talking about yourself, and what you expect from life. So only information that is relevant gets released through our reticular activating system. And just before I go into the cards, like a good point on this, it's called in E Squared, the book by Pam Grout, E Squared. There was an experiment done in that called, I think it was called the Blue Jetta experiment. But you know you've had this experience. This is pretty universal for most people. So let's say you were to buy yourself a blue Jetta, Volkswagen Jetta car. And you're driving that car, and then before, you'd never seen one. Like you'd seen Jettas, but you'd never seen a blue Jetta. And then all of a sudden, now that it's in your experience, you see blue Jettas everywhere. You're like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe how many blue Jettas are in my town. That is an example of how your reticular activating system works. Once you have conscious awareness of it, it opens up the awareness. Now that's relevant information that's allowed through your filter. So anything can be allowed through the filter, and you can consciously call on things, but you must bring the power of your attention to it, and that is how you can program and activate your RAS, or reticular activating system. For those who are choosing action, your spiritual action at this time is to defend your highest ideals, seeking oneness with all there is. Right, this goes right into what we were talking about. Your highest ideals are usually your North Star or your destiny. It's where you're headed. It's the thing that you're working towards. So these ideals can be goal related, like what you want to do with your life. It can also be personally related, like how you want to be in the world. Your goal as what is a better human, right? These are the highest ideals. And these are just a couple of examples of what they look like. But this is what we're being asked to consciously create with and design our words around. So defend that. Defend that with your words and with your self-concept. And this seeks oneness with all there is, because we're constantly in a state of evolution. We are not stagnant beings, although I know many times our lives can feel stagnant and it can feel maybe like we're not moving forward or changing, but you are. You can't help that. Things change you, experiences change you, desires change you, and so on. That evolutionary pattern is an exact replica of source energy, of oneness. It's always evolving itself. It's why we're here. We're here because that primary creator energy wanted to experience more of itself, and then ba-boom, it created all these extensions of itself to evolve, to know more, to get more information. And so each one of us acts as a point of information, a point of reference for the great source itself. Mental action at this time. Mental action at this time. Accept the rules of philanthropy. This one's really interesting because when I ask my team, okay, explain to me what you mean by philanthropy, because we understand that philanthropy is about giving without an expectation of return, right? We're giving without expecting an exchange. In this case, it is talking about the part of philanthropy where you can only give out what you give to yourself. So if you're giving yourself compassion, you have more compassion for others. If you're giving yourself patience and love, you have more patience and love to share with others. So partly it wants you to understand that in order to affect or change anything and to truly be effective, we must allow that we must give to ourselves. Like giving yourself conscious awareness of how you're speaking and choosing your words wisely to create containment fields, right? That containment field that you're creating, whatever it is almost like a new bucket that you've created to catch more universal energy. And now you have this stockpile of energy with which you can give from. So let's say you're trying to create that wealth. Well, if you catch wealth in your bucket, you have more wealth to work with, to use in ways that can affect other people. Right? So we see how that works. We must be good at receiving. We must be good at giving to ourselves in order to effectively give to others. Physical action at this time. Let your feelings tell you how to get out into the world and keep your involvement hidden. So I'm really fixating on the keep your involvement hidden part, and I'm listening for that. And they're bringing me back to the moment where I was talking about the container that you're using, and when you feel that you're not a vibrational match to the words you're speaking yet, and how we tend to overgive information around that to almost apologize for what we're doing. We don't need to do that anymore. That's your private business. You don't need to over explain yourself to anyone. So that's the first thing I'm getting from it. Let your feelings tell you how to get out in the world. Again, so our feelings are letting us know, they're like a GPS, right? They're letting us know if we're in alignment with our true self or out of alignment with our true self. It lets us know if we're in alignment with a vibration or out of alignment with a vibration. So again, it goes back to that moment I was talking to you about this is my desired vibration, this is where I'm at, right? And my feelings are letting me know if I'm in that alignment yet or not. If I'm in alignment with where I want to be, I won't have negative emotions coming up telling me that's not true or that's embarrassing. Why would you do that? Instead, I'm going to have emotions that are confident, calm, assertive, agreeable. They're going to be a match to the vibration. So your words are literally telling you how you are in the world right now. I mean, your feelings are literally telling you how you are in the world right now. It's simply using those feelings to let you know, am I in alignment yet? Or I'm in that transitional place, or I feel like completely out of touch with what I'm trying to create. All right, so now let's go to outcomes in the moon in Sagittarius in the 12th house. So the spiritual action at this time is the nurturing of insights to understand your faith. Again, I think this is going to be, the words are a real highlight. So if you start really paying attention to how you're speaking, not just to other people, but about yourself to other people, and thinking to yourself, or how you speak to yourself internally, if you really start paying attention, this is going to let you know how much do you believe in yourself? How much do you trust yourself? Do you believe you can have what you desire to create? Do you believe you're a creator being? Like, all of this can come up. These are insights that are going to let you know what your current vibrational set point is. Sometimes that can be scary to look at. Sometimes it's really interesting that we can actually trick ourselves into thinking we believe something when we actually don't. It's just that we want it so bad. But if our fear is strong, then we're not in alignment with what we desire. We desire, but we also resist. And so this is a period where the willingness to listen and pay attention to the words we use, especially when we're speaking about ourselves or about what we want, we're going to get a lot of insight to understand just how plugged into ourselves we are at this time. It's ultimately good information. Mental outcome at this time, feelings caused by the wisdom of hidden tendencies. Okay, so again, we're going to be doing some internal deep digging. Before we can really use the power of our words, we're going to find out what the words are that we currently use. That's going to bring some stuff up. So it's a deep healing window that we're in. It's partly preparing you to be better at your manifesting, but there's a lot of healing energy that did come in with this new moon. There was some active Chiron with Mars going on, and when that's happening, we're getting more action, or we're taking more action around what needs to be healed. There's also some Pluto Mars energy, which is about what needs to transform and taking action in that way too. So this is a manifesting window that's dealing a lot with awareness first. Awareness is the key, and acceptance, those two steps right there, allow you to move into transition and change. So during that awareness, it's easy to get upset because there's things that maybe we didn't see we were doing that finally show themselves on the surface of our conscious mind. And it can be easy to get caught up in the emotional drama. It's important to feel what you're feeling, but not hold it, right? So we're allowing a wave of feeling to wash over us. But just as the wave comes up over us, it also recedes and leaves. It's only when we stay there and we get into the stories we tell ourselves about the emotion that comes up that we tend to get stuck or in trouble. We don't need to tell the stories. We just need to see it, feel it, and let it go. And then make new decisions once that's all cleared. Physical outcome at this time. Reactions resulting from the understanding of large institutions or overwhelming events. So again, that's the 12th house right there. And the 12th house is talking about accumulative energy. So as you go through the wheel of the zodiac, as you go through the houses, they start out as very personal, and it continues to expand into personal relationship, and then it expands into social relationship, and then it eventually gathers until it goes all the way back to source energy. And at that level, that's the largest level you can go to. So that's what it's talking about, this large institutions or overwhelming events. So again, the key words in this, there's obviously feelings, but understanding comes up quite a bit in this reading, which is showing me that you are going to get more information in this time period. Now, the large institutions and overwhelming events, these could be things that happen in the external world, or it could feel that way because it's revelatory to you. And I think that's kind of where it's going, because anytime the subconscious mind releases more information, that's where we have an aha moment that's revelatory. It's like you finally understand what's been operating this whole time, and you're like, oh my gosh, that's the thing I kept doing. That's the pattern I kept playing into. That's the behavioral trap I keep falling in. So it feels really big. It feels overwhelming. And I honestly think that that's where it's coming from. So again, they're talking about this sudden awareness of deeper held patterns because you started by just listening to the words that you're speaking about yourself and to yourself. And it allows for this beautiful chain reaction and a complete awareness and wisdom that allows you to move forward and more consciously choose the containers you create within. So I hope you found that reading helpful. Now, I wanted to share with you that I have an amazing tool to help you during this time period to tap in and get consciously aware about those words you're speaking and the thoughts that you're creating that actually influence your behavior and create the actions you take. So the Mercury Pod for July is opening up. Now, Mercury Pod is my group coaching program, and it is about you moving into action, stepping out of procrastination, stepping out of self-doubt, stepping through that awkward transitional phase and having me behind you all the way for 30 days. We're going to get in there. We're going to identify what it is you desire to create right now and move through any obstacles that could come up, including that awkward transitional phase I talked about between the frequency you want and the frequency you're at. So if this sounds like something that you'd like to be a part of, the July Mercury Pod starts on July 3rd. That's this coming Sunday. And I will put the link below so you can sign up and join us there. I really look forward to seeing you. And until next time, stay magical. Mwah. Thank you for watching. Subscribe now and hit the notification bell so that you know the next time I release a new video. Until then, stay magical. Hi, my name is Therese Tucker, and I want to welcome you to Mercury Pod Coaching. I created this group coaching program to help you move out of procrastination and into traction towards your big goals. I know how it feels to dream really big and then all of a sudden find yourself sitting there spinning in place, not getting anywhere closer to your goal. It can be really easy to get caught up in feeling flustered and confused and not know what action to take, and so you completely stop taking any action at all. If this sounds familiar to you, then there's a good chance that you've got some mindset blocks in the way that are preventing you from taking actions right now that can get you closer to your big dream and create real change in your life. Here's what you need. You need someone who can see those mindset blocks and help you get out of indecision, move into inspired action, and do it quickly. And that's where I come in. So what is the Mercury Coaching Pod? It is a 30-day coaching program where you will have weekly coaching calls live with me to help you implement your plans and take action now. In this group coaching program, you will also get one private session with me where we can completely deep dive into what it is you're trying to create, and I can help you create the action tasks that you're going to need to complete in 30 days to get ahead. If you're ready to jumpstart your goals and get going right now, then you are the perfect person for this pod coaching program. So if you're interested, hit the Get Access button below. And of course, I look forward to seeing you in the Mercury Pod Coaching program. All my love. Mwah.